Hello, this is John Majori with Majori on Bowie, and this is the Majori on Bowie YouTube channel, where I have a new interview every week that always has something to do with David Bowie. And for daily content, visit the blog www.majorionbowie.com, where I have new content every single day that almost always has something to do with David Bowie. Today is the second part of my interview with Bowie's longtime collaborator, Carlos Alomar. This interview was recorded as Carlos was getting ready to launch the Back to Berlin tour, which is a tribute to David Bowie and Dennis Davis. Dennis, the drummer in what was known as the Damn Trio, which included Carlos himself and George Murray, who's participating in the tour, along with Bowie alum Kevin Armstrong and a really tight band. It promises to be a great show. Carlos and I spoke for nearly 2 hours, and I divided the interview into two. The first part having posted a couple weeks ago. They both stand on their own. You don't need to have heard the first part to listen to this one. This is a really fascinating discussion that gets into Carlos's work with Bowie, the creative process, and he starts giving me life advice that really stuck with me, and I think it's going to stick with you as well. So please enjoy Carlos Alomar. What did John Lennon actually contribute to fame?
The contributions are what we would consider inspirational. It doesn't
Yeah,
really have anything to do with the parts. It means that somebody inspires you to go in a direction that you would not go into. Somebody gives you the inspiration by having a conversation with you,
yeah,
forces you to rethink what you're thinking and kind of redirect your attention. Somebody speaks to you and they also give you what we call sound bites. And those sound bites are very, very known to David Bowie. David Bowie, with his cutout method, would look at articles and simply take little sayings. If you happen to have a conversation and say, she was like a thorn in my eye, he's going to use that in some lyric. The inspiration, you have no idea. If he reads about Tutankhamun and there's some particular place, he'll use that damn place in a song, and you're looking through the encyclopedia to find out if it's for real or not. What did he contribute? He comes in, he plays rhythm guitar, and is playing rhythm guitar. He has this habit of maybe kind of playing, but he kind of puts his head down and when he plays, he goes, but he doesn't just go, he goes, and I'm playing, and we're hearing the tracks, and I go, what the hell is that sound? And they start isolating the tracks and bringing the faders down. And there on Lennon's track, you hear him playing very, very simple chords, because the song is a blues song. It only has 3 chords.
yeah,
Bowie cut it up and made it a blues song. Nobody knows that, but it is. Next thing I know, he's playing his regular part, and you keep hearing, I swear he's saying fame. No, he's not saying fame. It sounds like maybe that's all it took. What the kind They come into the studio. Oh my God, it's John Lennon. I know who John Lennon is. Next thing I know, I'm working on Fame.
yeah,
They say, let's go out to dinner. I'm like, I got these parts that I hear. Oh my God, what a dilemma. Do I go out with John Lennon and May Pang and David Bowie? That's the only people that are there. Or do I stay here and finish my parts? Man, when you're a musician and you hear your parts like those with James Brown, I hear 3 guitar parts playing perfectly in sync together. I cannot go to dinner and then get all enthralled in their conversation. I said, you know what? I got to stay here, y'all. I'm going to stay here and finish my parts. Who turns down dinner with John Lennon and David Bowie? It's like, I stayed there. I finished my parts. They came back from dinner. The song was done. David Bowie said, oh, let me just add this. Ba-da-da-da. Oh, that was it. John Lennon, that guitar part that you hear in the beginning, dun, 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 you hear this backwards. That's a backwards guitar. All he did was go bring, bring, ding, 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 ding. They just took that, reversed it. That's what you hear. And
yeah,
then he leaves, and then you hear my guitar part. And then in the middle, you hear dun, 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 dun. John Lennon.
yeah. Wow.
And then in the bridge, if you separate everything, you might hear ching, 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 da-da-da-da, ching, ching. It's a blues song. How much can you contribute to 3 chords, man? It's just like he got credit. Why? The same way I knew take writing credit with Jagger.
Yeah.
Bowie knew, give writing credit to Lennon, and for all eternity, you're gonna be together like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was regrettable that he passed because during that time, David Bowie and I were neighbors. And so he was getting ready to re-nurture that relationship and start doing some things with Lennon. And when that whole thing happened, it was just a crucial, crucial blow. And I was there to kind of help him go through it. But then after a little while after that Lennon incident, he decided because people found out where we lived, and it was right across from FIT on 26th Street. So I stayed, but Bowie was like, they were ringing his bell and all that. And he found out that his name was on that same hit list. And so he was like, you know what? I'm out. And next
Yeah.
thing I know, went and lived somewhere else. And so that whole period was amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Before, I don't mean to ask you too many questions about Fame, but before
Okay.
that existed, you were doing a song called Foot Stompin' that sounds very similar.
Foot stomping, it isn't really. It's just that I had this little guitar part that I happened to throw into the song, and he liked the little guitar part. They really had nothing to do with each other because ultimately David Bowie took all that away. He cut
Yeah.
up one little section that had that little guitar part, and that's all he wanted. And so he created what we call a 1-4-5 progression, which is blues, dun 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 dun. Louie Louie.
Louie Louie.
Those are
Yeah.
blues progressions. So you have fame, fame, and fame. Those three chords are all it is. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to convert that which you know into a different medium so they can be digested by a different audience. And in so doing, we have a basic blues song that is made so funky and so airy. There's so many holes in that song. Next thing you know, David Bowie's appearing on Soul Train representing black music. It's just like you want to hit. You just came from spandex.
Yeah.
Orange hair, and now you're a blonde haired guy singing a funky song on Soul Train. It, it was a truly amazing period.
So these changes he's going through, right? He's going from spandex to Soul Train to blue, electric blue.
Mm.
That's the color of my room.
Yeah.
Right? You're not only witnessing, but you're part of these transformations. It's like nobody else. Is there is there a philosophy behind this? Is he doing this on instinct, or does he have a thought about, this gets quasi sort of spiritual? Does he have a thought about impermanence or rebirth or, concepts related to Buddhism?
I'm a Buddhist, and so during that time,
Yeah.
he was a Buddhist as well. And so all of these things melt into the same thing. We mustn't confuse anything other than the human experience. We
Yeah.
can label it with other things that are tangible, like Christianity, Buddhism, or whatever, but we can look at everything. We can look at everything, quite honestly, as a fortune cookie. You open up the cookie, and what does it say? Your best teacher was your last mistake. These little sayings drive you. One thing you have to remember is that David Bowie is an extremely curious individual.
Yeah.
Most of us don't live a life like that. Most of us look at it as an adventure that is limited. Life is not, look, many of us plan small little trips with a little outcome that we know we're going from here and going over there. Cute. But then within that trip, sometimes life offers us an adventure. Oh my God, I went to this place, but then we went to this club, and then we went to, and that adventure becomes, when you come back home, you don't talk about the trip. You talk about that adventure that you had, which really is going to be in your mind for the rest of your life. Bowie doesn't go just for the adventure. Bowie goes for the odyssey.
Yeah.
The odyssey of saying yes to everything, and in so doing, you might never get back home. The curiosity factor that allows you to abandon something that was so secure because the complacency is driving you crazy.
Yeah.
Live a life, as they taught you in Buddhism, of a loop of your own making. Why the hell would you want to get trapped in a loop of your own making?
Yeah.
Be curious enough to allow yourself to leave that loop. We have many conscious friends. We have friends at work. They are not your friends, they're called associates. And once you leave that job, you're never going to hear from them again.
Yeah.
You have best friends when you were in high school, but you're no longer in high school and you don't hear from them. They were not your best friends. All of these thoughts have their time. In Buddhism, they tell you everything in its time, and in its time, everything. All of these aspects can make you change easily if you have that chameleon-like tendency and curiosity that will allow you the courage to take the step outside of your own loop or your own box.
Yeah.
Bowie is not a usual individual. He is curious. He will let go of methodology because he found another one that suits him better. A methodology is a string that once you stop pulling on it, you have to go to the end. You do not stop pulling that string in the middle. And so when you get used to all these different methodologies, you get used to the experimentation that comes with it. Bowie, as you can very well understand, is never caught in a loop of his own making.
Yeah.
He changes the loop, which I encourage all individuals. That is part of what we call the human revolution. We have to understand that we can change. We're supposed to change. Some people call it progress, but it is not necessarily progress. It just means that you have involved yourself in a different area of involvement and you want to do well. I just learned that I like golf. In the beginning, I suck. I need to practice a little bit more because now I am driven by passion. I
Yeah.
had no idea that I like golf, but suddenly I like golf. My wife is now calling me a golfer and buys me golf clubs. I had a birthday. Bowie says, Carlos, I'd like to buy you something for your birthday. He says, what would you like? I said, really? He says, yeah. I said, I'd love to have some fencing equipment. Next thing I know, he buys me the foil. He buys me the headgear. I have the nice white jacket. I'm set, man. I have people coming to my house giving me fencing lessons. Next thing I know, my wife, my cousin, we're all taking fencing lessons. And when they leave, we're swashbuckling in the apartment trying to kill each other.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a certain amount of curiosity that joyfully, pursuing that curiosity, morphing and changing into a better you, is those things that drive you to continue that odyssey. And that's what David imparted on all of us as fans. Be curious enough to involve yourself in a place that makes you uncomfortable till you conquer it, just like golf lessons. Take your lessons, your best mistake. You find you do something wrong, don't do it again.
Yeah.
It's just like, look, if I'm doing an experiment in the studio here and I press the wrong button, trust me, I'm not pressing that button again. The best teacher was your last mistake. In emotional aspects, in technological aspects, dive in, create new loops, emulate Bowie. Be courageous and be that chameleon. You'll find that you are more than what you think you are. Thus, the
Yeah.
name B2B, the band, is
Yes.
not back to Berlin. It actually,
Oh.
I'm going to put something in your brain, and then
Yeah.
you're going to go, oh.
Yeah.
Finish this sentence. To be or not to be?
That is the question.
You've been living with to be to be all your life. The fact that I say be to me be means become who you're supposed to be. Your
Wow.
question
Yeah.
relates directly to be to be.
Yeah.
If you want
Wow.
to be that chameleon, if you want to extend yourself, if you want to go outside to yourself, you have to continue to develop yourself. And it's not just yourself, it is your nature. And your nature means that you got to develop yourself to the point where you're going to accept somebody that you don't like. Why? Because it's their nature to be that way, and you're not going to change them.
Carlos, you're giving me life lessons. I am a year and a half away from retirement in my day job, and so I'm going to be contemplating what you're saying for
There is no retirement to life.
there's no retirement to life, but
No,
there's a retirement to the job.
your job.
Yeah.
See that word that you use?
Yeah.
I'll ask you to compare it to this word, and you tell me if they are comparable. Ready?
Yeah.
Is your job your passion?
Well, I've got multiple passions.
You never leave your passion because your passion is not a job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's my passion? Music. You really think I'm going to stop playing guitar because
No,
I'm
I don't think
tired?
you will. Yeah, I
I'll
don't think
never
you
stop
will.
playing guitar because as long as I can play a guitar, I can write a song.
Yeah.
And as long as I can write a song, I can buy a house.
That is excellent. That is excellent.
Look,
So,
one of the things that I got to say is that a lot of people don't understand why me and Bowie got on so well. That's because you don't know me. You think you know Bowie, but you don't know me. So get to know me in all these interviews, and then you'll see how possibly me and Bowie used to would interact.
well, let me say two things. The one is, I am actually very grateful to you for giving a lot of interviews because I think there's a function that you're performing and giving them of chronicling this period in cultural history. And if the collaborators of Mozart did that, I think we would be sort of richer as a culture to understand what was happening. So I appreciate you for doing that and prepping for this, right? I wasn't just listening to your music, but I'm listening to what you've been saying.
Mhm.
And it's, I think that, when's your book coming out?
You know what? I've got a publisher and all that, and it's been
Yeah.
so difficult because I start writing, and then another experience. It's that odyssey that I spoke of.
Yes.
And as the odyssey continues, you start looking in hindsight at everything that happens and everything that goes out there. And it's not that I can't change the narrative, but you see, the book is not about Bowie.
Yeah.
The book is a love story between Carlos Alomar and Robin Clark.
Yeah.
The fact that the minute we started, like you said, from Sesame Street, she goes off and does the Blues Travelers. She goes off and Carly Simon, Collins, Blues Travelers, Kiss. Every time I do something, she does something. I do
Yeah.
something, she does something. And for 50 years of marriage, it doesn't stop. And so the real story becomes Carlos. In 1977, you did Iggy, and then you did two albums for Bowie, and then you did another album back in the. But Carlos, didn't you have a child? Wasn't Leah born in 1977? How can I talk about all these albums when my daughter was born in 1977? You really think that I'm going to take my time to write a story about Bowie and the things that happened with Bowie when my wife changed? I'm on the road. My wife
Yeah.
moved me. Suddenly, I'm in the Jackie Gleason estate. I was living in the city. Next thing I know, I got a pool, 8 acres of land. I got so many people working, cutting shrubbery. I don't even know these people. I come off the road. This is what I want to write about. And
Yeah.
how you stay married for 50 years. And what is it that makes, certain things, you're a Buddhist, you've traveled, all these things. I, the Latin Grammys, I was the one that was the vice chairman of the National Board of Trustees of the Grammys, the National Academy
Yeah.
of Recording Arts and Science. I was elected the president of the New York chapter 3 times. I was the one that heralded the approach and the implementation of the Latin Grammys. All of these things, a lot of people don't know about me. So,
Right.
so writing a book becomes really weird when sometimes you have a recording session, but all you do is actually go into the studio to record the session. There's no real story there. Well, yes, I
Right.
can make something up because it's the facts, but those facts don't interest me. What interests me is I go home and Luther Vandross, just returned and now we got to go do. That's what becomes the interesting story. Bowie has to be a chapter
Yeah.
because if I make a Bowie tell-all book, I mean, why the hell would I do that? I mean, I can do an interview and you can get a lot, and I can take the transcripts and put them all together.
Sure.
But a Bowie tell-all book, I've seen everybody that tours with Bowie, and that's just what it is. Here's what we did when we went on tour. It just doesn't. I try to write like that. It doesn't. If you read any of the posts that I do, I don't write short answers. I write full-length essays because as a professor, I like to write. So
Yeah.
I do have a lot of excerpts that I have. I just haven't compiled them all together enough to put the book together.
Yeah.
Now, I can easily give you. I have a short story called The Misadventures of Carlito and Robelina. And I have a comic book series that look, interesting. What is it? You want to get to know me? You need to know who we were when we were kids. Because if you can see the escapade, the shenanigans, you're going to see our nature evidence. The minute we started, we knew we were going to get in trouble. And
Yeah.
these are the things that lead you to understand how somebody develops into being that person. My father died at 15. I was already seeking my future at the Apollo Theater at 16 and playing after hour joints, 17 and married by 18, 19. What the hell is going on here? How do you kismet, fortuitous meetings? How do you do that? You leave your house and the next thing you know, you're at the Apollo Theater?
Well, that's amazing.
It's
But
crazy.
I, you know, let's not gloss over. You got married at 19 and you're still married 50 years later.
Like I say,
Who does it?
you
I've
know,
been married 23 years. What do I need to do to stay married the next 23 years?
Don't take nothing seriously, man.
Yeah.
You got to have a good sense of humor. You see, with a good sense of humor, you can curse somebody out with a smile, and they are so intelligent that they get what you're doing, and they can have a good laugh on themselves. And if you have a certain amount of intellect, they can hit you back harder than you hit them. And that makes even more laughter.
Yeah.
So what you think is insulting, as long as it's clever and and the delivery system is, ooh, you got me, but I gotta get you back.
Yeah.
So you have to have a certain amount of intellect, and the compatibility between Robin and I is that we're able to maneuver. First of all, we don't go to sleep angry. As Buddhists, we don't need to, but we need to be able to express ourselves in a way that gets to the real matter about how you feel about something that was imposed on you. So what you really talk about is your discomfort, not your ire or your anger. That happens later on when you have an explosion because you don't understand the other person,
Yeah.
and it's trying to get to a level of understanding that gives you resolve. And so for being married, the only advice I can give you is you must take things with a grain of salt and don't pass them on to the second day. If you've worked so hard for your tranquility and your peace, please don't let anybody take it from you so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Carlos, was not prepared to get so much life advice from you, but I am listening to what you're saying, and
That's what me and you see.
yeah,
What people don't seem to understand is, as a Buddhist, I was a Buddhist when Bowie met me in my 20s. I think he might have been 27. You got to understand, when you're already established as a Buddhist and you have a certain philosophical, and my father was a Pentecostal minister.
yeah,
Much respect. I'm not a hooligan. I'm a, like they used to call us. They're the clean kids. So we used to come around the whole Bowie. Look, we come from Harlem. I know junkies. I know pot. I know all of it. I know all of it. We grew up with it, but we had our focus based on our objective, and that's why although we were there, we were not part of it. So, this whole issue of my philosophy, this is who I am. And when I speak, Bowie understood this. And so, as you're speaking to me, there's a certain way that our tangents meet, and we kind of get into the humanity of all of it. And music is humanity.
yeah,
And so once you start looking at music in this term, Bowie had a lot of trust in me because he knew that I have a certain amount, not only of intellect, but of true emotional passion. And so there's a certain seriousness afforded to my offerings. He
hmm,
doesn't look when I give him something, he doesn't fluff me. He doesn't fluff me off. I don't. Why would you fluff me off? I'm speaking to you in a very esoteric way. Sometimes you don't get the answer you want from me. You get this philosophical, what the hell is he talking about? But it's enjoyable. You seem to think that I gave you an answer. I really just tossed it back at you and let you answer it. Meanwhile, you don't answer it. You just go off questioning yourself. It's a different way of looking at conversation. You get what you want, but not really. You only get what I think you need.
yeah. Wow. Now you just said music is humanity, and you're this tour that you're about to launch into.
Mhm.
Um, it works on a couple of different levels. I'm imagining, and I think a lot of people are going to be flocking to this tour. What are they actually getting out of it? I don't just mean what's the set list. Like, what is the experience that they're going to take away from it?
I've really got to just say fun. I swear to
Yeah,
God, I've thought about that so many times, so many times. The subjectivity that a fan brings to an experience is so different than anyone else. Here are some of the things we have to look at as positive aspects. My God, they know every damn word. You know how hard it is to please somebody that knows all the words? You make one mistake, you have just broken their criteria. Oh my God, they suck. They didn't know the exact fun. There is no definition for fun. You get there, you hear the first song. Oh man, I love that song. You start
yeah,
singing along. The next thing you know, like I said, there's no slow songs. You're just
yeah,
huffing and puffing and just singing along with every damn song. Now, What is it that you would need in order to supplement fun? The visuals. You really think that I can afford to give you a show like David Bowie? I took the opportunity because it was afforded to me. Low budget. Look at how you go and see Holy Holy. Are you going to see some gigantic Bowie show? No, you get a band.
Yeah.
What are they going to be doing? I know what they're going to be doing. 5 years, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You don't know what you're going to get. Oh, you know what you're going to get when you come to see my show.
Yeah.
If you know the trilogy without Eno and you listen to it without Eno, I'm not there to put you in dreamy, dreamy, never, never land. I'm
Yeah.
there to make you bring your pacemaker, bro. Because you are going to be beaten to the ground and you know all the songs and they're all upbeat. And you're hearing them with the force of, I'm sorry, I got to say it. When the damn trio plays, we swing.
Yeah.
When rock and rollers, and look, this is not a blanket statement. My apologies to all rock and rollers. Sometimes, man, they play so square. When they play rock and roll, it's a G, dun, 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 a 1 and a 5. Dun, 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 dun. They don't play. I play a E minor 7 to a E minor 9. Then I play a E7 sharp 9. There are no sharp. All those jazz chords that I'm playing, there's a rock and roll guitar player playing a 1 and a 5 right on top of it. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, no, no. I don't play that. You're gonna hear the real arrangements, and when you hear these arrangements, you're gonna go, man, man, they got that. It's the nature of the beast. When you hear Beauty and the Beast, I've got to reproduce the feeling that you got when you first heard V2 Schneider and you heard those background vocals electronically produced that was so tight. You knew that was not three people singing. We
Yeah.
have got Leah Lorium with her TC Helicon, and every time I sing one note, I can be the Beach Boys, the Supremes, a 14-piece choir, or a gang. All because I got this technology. So I'm using all of that technology available to me to revisit the technological advances that we reproduced while we were doing the Berlin Trilogy.
Yeah.
And so it
Wow.
becomes very important not only to have a show, but to have a narrative that when I do interviews, we can demystify the whole period that we did, and then we can actually reproduce it in a more technologically viable way now.
Yeah.
But the experience should be the same. And so when you hear all these songs in their same powerful versions and the vocalists,
Who
I,
is the vocalist?
oh my God. I had to get a vocalist, okay? And the reason that I got one vocalist, Cuneo.
Yeah.
I have seen so many things that you have a million singers singing a million songs. What do they sing? They sing the song that they can sing. Why? I know 5 years. I know all the slow songs, and so you get these songs, and they're a mixture of a lot of things. But they're not professional singers, and they're not singing the song like they wrote it. But the fact that they sang a song deals with what we call curiosity seekers. Oh, there's a movie star. I didn't even know they sang, but they're going to sing a song. I think I'll see it.
Yeah.
Just curiosity. Do they sing it well? They're all right. And that's not what I do. I have to plan a show as if Bowie was right in front of me. I need a person that is so energized. I don't need a person that stands by the microphone and goes, I think, no, let go of that microphone. And I want you to sing to each individual member of that audience and make them feel like you're singing to them. Two, I want drama. I need an actor that sings. I don't need a singer. Anybody can sing a song, and all you're going to do is say, they don't sound like Bowie, or, oh, I hated his voice. Or, you know what? So much criteria. I can't be bothered with your criteria. I got to do a Bowie show, and that person that you're going to be listening to is going to be the vehicle of expression. And after a while, you're going to stop seeing his face, and you're going to start listening to Bowie again.
Yeah.
And these songs are so pertinent to right now,
Yeah.
you're going to be shocked at how when that singer speaks to you, he's speaking to you now.
Yeah.
Oh, he is alive and kicking. He's going to be on that stage now. And his lyrics are as contemporary as ever. And so
Sure.
I need a singer that's going to really deliver when it comes to performance level. And I need for the audience to take it all in as one gigantic show as if Bowie were singing. I might say a few words, I get it. But I'll say as many words as Bowie does, introducing the band and thank you for all coming, blah, blah, blah. Why? A show, I don't want it to be, it is not karaoke. It is not it's not, what do they call, not an amateur hour, when they just have different acts, to come. It's a show. And so I did not want to do a patchwork of different artists and different singers, which I would then have to accommodate their keys and all that
Yeah,
stuff and do arrangement. I need somebody that does it all.
yeah. It,
And yeah.
I was going to ask, what you mentioned the visuals. What is Nacho going to be doing?
What was happening with Nacho is that I have to put a section together that has to do with Dennis Davis.
Yeah,
What we should understand is in the 9 years or so that Bowie had passed, Dennis Davis died about 3 months after Bowie. And so the heartache of not being able to really address their departure was really hard on me. And so waiting these 9 years, I wasn't about to give a tribute to simply David Bowie. If I
yeah,
was going to do the damn trio, I think that it would be in my best interest to honor the legacy of Dennis Davis as well.
yeah,
We had a series that Nacho put on called, I think it was called Discovering My Father or something like that. I might have gotten it wrong. My apologies if I have. But it basically dealt with Dennis Davis's son, Hikaru, asking all the questions of me, of George Murray, who was my father? Who? And you've got this image of this 10-year-old. That 10-year-old has grown up and now he's going to college. And in the humanity of me and who I am, I want to give back to Dennis. And the way that I give back to Dennis is by having merchandise that I can sell and give that portion to Dennis Davis' son, his foundation for his college fund. And I thought that it would be in the best interest for me not to look at it as a money making venture, but as a humanitarian venture. And so, although I can honor David Bowie in song, I can honor the memory of Dennis Davis in merchandising and offering
yeah,
something to his son, and basically asking people. The reason you're buying this merchandising is not for the sake of David Bowie and getting a damn David Bowie face. Show a little humanity. And so I thought the best thing that I can do is honor Dennis Davis by creating an online presence that would go before the tour, during the tour, and after the tour.
yeah,
So if you want to buy a t-shirt, we're doing a campaign where we introduce Dennis Davis online and have an online campaign because it becomes very difficult to actually do something. Look, if I had the budget, there would be films and Nacho would be all over and the backdrop would be distracting, to
yeah,
say the least. But I think that in this particular millennium, we have to do things online in a different way to adhere to the presence of the individual. I don't want you to just come see a show and incidentally see something about Dennis. I need to be online putting together something with Nacho that shows his history, the fact that the battle between him and Stevie Wonder, the work that he did with George Benson, his trajectory, speaking to his wife Chie and speaking to Hikaru himself as a little interview. Get to know the damn trio. Even if he's gone,
yeah,
we have to show the presence of the individuals. Like I said about Robert Fripp, and Adrian Blue. All of these Ricky Gardner, they all gave a certain thing. And as we progress further and further, I know it's always got to be David. And I honor that. But David had many, many affiliates and many associations, and those sometimes have to be brought to light before it's too late.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and, and on another level, I went to do the convention, and that's when I saw George again. And I hadn't seen him for quite some time. To see him again, and then the band that was playing, the house band that was playing the music for the convention, they invited us to play on stage. When I heard George, and I was like, dude, you haven't lost, you get that feeling of let's put the band back together again.
yeah,
Although I had that feeling, I still came home when I returned with the joy of man, Robin, when George, man, and the band. When we went to rehearsals, they finally heard the parts and they started to swing. It was just an amazing. And then George got back and it was the California fires. And I thought I might have lost George. I was calling and calling, and finally he found some hotel that and he told me I'm okay. And we got a lot of smoke, but we're okay. And then I realized I could have lost George. And that's what really said, Dave Pichilingi, I'd like to take you up on your offer. I know it's not a high budget tour, but I'd like to do this before it's too late. I've waited long enough. 9 years with Bowie, 9 years with Dennis, and I might have lost George. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Damn trio is going out, and I'm going to do the trilogy.
So you're doing this tour right now. All of the dates are in Europe. Are
Yeah.
you going to bring the show over to the US?
It is my dream, but I don't really look at things like that as being steps. If they are
Yeah.
to happen, they will happen. But I don't really, I like the yearning.
Carlos, I'm asking for a friend.
Oh, no, no, no. The answer is I hope so.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't plan like that.
yeah.
I
Do you,
plan that if people see it, oh, look, let's put it this way. The reason that I'm doing the tour is because I have to create the brand.
yeah,
Everybody knows the Spiders from Mars, but they might not necessarily know the drummer, the bass player. They might know the lead guitar player's name. But the brand,
right.
who are those three black guys? They're just there.
Yeah,
Without the brand of the damn trio, we don't exist. I have to go out to make sure that that brand is not lost in time.
yeah. Do you plan to record this and release a concert album?
No, I don't think I need to.
Yeah,
The memory is an amazing thing. Those people that hold those things true are the people that were there. And you know what? They'll never remember anything the way that it happened. They'll remember the way they experienced it.
right.
Depending
Yeah,
on where they sit, depending on how loud the people are next to them, where anything happens. And so the live albums are done because you want to put something in place that is going to be there forever. I really don't need to do that.
yeah,
I don't have to sell to a particular audience or extend myself beyond Bowie. I want you to think about Bowie. I want you to think
yeah,
about Dennis. I don't want you to look to me to. You want to hear me? I just finished recording so and so. Listen to some of the stuff that I did, on the Uptown Funk on that album. Don't. The memory is what I want to do.
yeah,
Self-promoting is, as a Buddhist, is nothing. I never really looked at that as being necessary. Excellence promotes itself.
yeah. I'll tell you something. We're talking about memory and experience. The first uh, time I ever saw you, the first time I ever saw Bowie was in Toronto in 1987. And it might have been the first rock concert I ever went to. And, it's sort of funny how memory is distorted, but from the experience, I remember Bowie, right? you don't remember me, right? But I'm like 100,000 people in the CN pavilion. But on the big jumbotron screen, I remember Bowie, with his crazy haircut and coming down from the gigantic glass spider, talking on a telephone, singing into a telephone. I remember Peter Frampton, and I remember you. I mean, you have distinct stage presence. You had this crazy hair at the time. I remember you playing, and like you have this head movement when you're playing that's very distinctive. And this is 40 years ago. So, part of what I was getting at when I was asking about what are people experiencing is I think when you're doing a song, you mentioned Beauty and the Beast, my favorite song. It's not my favorite Bowie song. It's my favorite song. I can't even tell you why, but it's part of the soundtrack of my life, and it evokes feelings of nostalgia. It evokes feelings of contemplation, right? I was thinking about things at multiple times in my life with this song, listening to this song, or this experience, the first time the Glass Spider tour, which, um, sometimes gets criticized. It was a life-changing experience for me to go to this concert.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Memories are somewhat strange because they are, in fact, hindsight. And
yeah,
because of that, they can be altered by your needs. And so we mustn't trust our memory. We don't want to disappoint ourselves. And so we kind of skew our memory to get. Remember when I talked to you about the trip? Nobody talks about
yes,
the trip, just the adventure.
yeah,
There's going to be something that supersedes. You don't mention any of the band members. You don't mention any of the dancers. You only remember the telephone. You remember certain things for some reason.
right,
And when you speak about it 50 years later,
yeah,
you only remember these little things that are
yes,
benchmarks to certain other things.
yeah,
And so everybody that goes to those concerts is going to take something different. And so, because of that, we have to remember that the only thing that is really substantial is your expectation level of whether it was met or whether it was not met.
Yeah.
Anything else that you need to enhance that, it's like when you tell somebody a story about a concert that you went to, you're not going to tell them how much you hated it. You're not going to tell them how they didn't sing the song right. You're only going to look at the parts that make it a great experience for you. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're not going to tell them about the downers unless you're very critical. But mostly you want to take away from it the best parts of the experience so you don't feel you wasted your time.
Yeah.
And so again, we have to ask ourselves, we do remember certain parts, but on the other side, why is it you don't remember any of the other?
I don't
Dancing,
know. Yeah.
dancing,
Why?
dancing ain't a thing. I see dancers, it's like being in Vegas. It's like when you see all these acts, why are there 15 people on stage singing the same thing? I can't tell who the soloist is. Only when somebody does something and jumps out and goes, wow, and everybody goes, wow, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
When they get tucked back into the chorus, I don't remember them anymore. But that little song, that little thing where they jumped out and they did a backflip, I'll remember that. But then went back to the chorus, I don't remember anything else they did.
Yeah.
When you're in the front row, you remember everything. When you're in the back row, you remember the experience.
Right. Yeah. That's so true.
You know
Yeah.
what it's like to be in an audience of yelling, screaming people that know all the words and you can't hear the singer?
I do know what that's like.
How, how, how do you interpret that into, I had a great time. I couldn't
Yeah.
hear anything. And yet, how do you brag? Oh man, I had why? You're not gonna tell anybody. Oh man, I went to this concert. I couldn't hear anything. It was horrible. What a waste of money. You're gonna fluff it up a little bit. Again,
Yeah.
everything is gonna be subjective, and people will know. Here's what I believe. I believe that music is one of the most amazing time capsules that you can ever take. I love going back to when I was 22. I love going back to a period where all the songs marked my youth in a certain way that I can remember it. Why? You're playing every song that I played during that time. Why?
Yeah.
Only songs available. All those other songs come 20 years later, 30 years. At that time, when I was 19, like you said, I heard that and it's just my favorite song. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That period of growth for Bowie, oh my God, the fans remember that period of growth. Man, from Young Americans to Scary Monsters, he had this thing about him. And then every once in a while, he would cut into it with Tin Machine and throw you so off. You either hated it or tolerated it, but you couldn't say you loved it. All that cut up, and like you thought you had it going, and he cuts it up. So you
So
have
was that a mistake?
no, no, no. There are no mistakes.
Yeah.
Always said that. He said, I said, oh, I played a mistake. Oh, you let that mistake in. He said, Carlos, if it appears on the record, it's not a mistake.
Yeah.
It is these type of philosophical little things that we throw at each other that psychologically are so cute and so smart and so provocative. They're kind of like, shut up. It's like you say something and it's so deep that you just go, mm-hmm. There's no rebuttal. There's no, it's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain satisfaction in accomplishments, but there's also a certain satisfaction in being able to explain your accomplishments. Our saying is, if you can't explain it, you can't defend it.
Right.
And you find out that you don't know jack if you can't explain it. You listen to yourself and it sounds like crap. It is crap. So, again, I'm not diverting. I'm just saying that when it comes to the experience of going to a concert,
Yeah.
we cannot really state what it is. What one person hates, another person will love. We're just there to give our best and understand that we are there to promote a certain period, a certain time, and an essence that we all experience together. And you know what? I want to get that feeling back. And the only way
Yeah.
that I can do it is by performing those songs. Look, if I do the soulfulness of David Bowie, the whole Young Americans album and all the other great little cuts that he did, Don't Look Down, all those reggae songs that
Yeah.
he did, and it's all soulful, all black cast, and maybe the first shows at the Apollo Theater. I would see that damn show myself, okay? Sorry. Why? I just took an epoch and just branded it and put this snowball together, and I'm gonna throw it at you, and you're gonna love it. That's what I want to do next. The soulfulness of David Bowie.
Excellent.
And if you tell me that you won't come and see that show as a Bowie fan,
Oh, of course I
you're
would.
crazy. And look, I can say that.
Yeah.
And anybody else, you want to steal it and you want to do it first, go ahead.
No, look,
Well, I'm saying that because I want to say this.
yeah,
I'm noted for that. And so for me to bring it to you, that makes sense. For you to include it in a show that addresses the songs,
yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
yeah. Wow. Well, I will tell you this: if you open that show in the Apollo Theater, I will be there.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be done. It just has to be thought about. And like I said, who can do that exactly? Oh,
You.
good.
Yeah.
So there are these things that they really promote themselves.
Yeah. Carlos, I feel like I could keep talking to you all day. I'm not going to do that to you.
You already did.
Yeah, sorry. Let me close with asking a silly question that I close all of my interviews with, which is, what's your favorite Bowie song and album? And I understand if it changes every day, but
We're talking about, you see, now we're going into hindsight. And so it's very difficult to answer that now because in hindsight, I have all the albums in front of me. And for you to
yeah,
say which is the best of them, kind of hard.
yeah,
If you had asked me that same question when I wrote Fame, I would only have one answer.
yeah,
If you asked me about the Berlin Trilogy, I would have a few more. But in hindsight, as I go back all the way, why don't we just go back to the beginning and say that my favorite album is Young Americans? And why would I say that? The development of Carlos Alomar began at that time. But as usual, I wasn't alone. I was with my wife. We were newly married. I had my best friend Luther Vandross. We were able to go on the road for the first time in a big, luxurious way with David Bowie. As a young kid, I mean, look, we hit Sesame Street. I got on a plane for the first time, went to California and Hawaii. That was amazing. And then I was doing a chilling circuit with the main ingredient. That was mostly chilling circuit. Everybody rents a car, you cram in, and we do all the East Coast. Suddenly,
yeah,
I get the chance to join Bowie, and I do an international tour. I hear fame in the grocery store when I'm shopping with Robin, when I'm doing the produce section. I go, oh my God, in the grocery store. So, you know what? Without hindsight, let's just go to the human experience of being awake and saying, oh my God, I'm being played in the grocery store. Dude, let's go back to where it all began. And we find that it's still exactly the same. I'm still married 50 years with the same person. I mean, we just finished doing the Luther Vandross documentary to kind of finish that epoch of our lives. And so when I look back in hindsight, what became a passion, what happened during Young Americans, and that becomes my best period.
yeah,
Anything after that was a continuation of the Odyssey that hasn't stopped yet. And so if you're going to ask me where my favorite stop is, let's just start it from the beginning
yeah.
and let's start all over again.
Excellent. Carlos Alomar, this has been wonderful. And I know a lot of people are going to come see the show in Europe, and I'm hoping that it comes to the US so I can see it.
I just hope that they're happy. And the
Yeah.
saying is, I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I swear to God, I know when people hear music and they just are, excuse me, fucking happy.
Oh,
When they have fun at a concert because they're just enjoying the show and they don't need lights, they need to remember Bowie.
yeah,
They don't need to be confused by who's the next singer. Just what's the next song? And I remember that song just the way they played it.
yeah,
And that singer, you can't judge them on one song. You judge us on becoming who we're going to be. Who do you want us to be? Just let us know because right now we're B2B, okay? And now we're just existing for the purpose of being able to give you a memory. That memory is ours. You can share it because you think it's a tribute to David Bowie, but it's my tribute. And I got to do it my way. And I got to do it with the understanding that when I do this, I'm not seeing Cuneo. His back is to me. I'm seeing David.
Yeah.
And if you don't see David, first of all, it's impossible. It is impossible for you not to feel that you're seeing David because you must release the singer to the song. You came to hear the songs, not to evaluate the singer. If you
Yeah.
do that, you're going to spoil it before the first song happens because you cannot compare David Bowie to anyone. Anyone. We're tributing, we're honoring him by going to the concert and having fun. Same way we did before. That's all you got to know. If you go to a concert and you go to a concert to not have fun, you need to just go to dinner. So why
Oh,
why do you come to see the concert? Because you're gonna have some fun. These
yeah.
songs are just fun songs that I did not have to struggle to pick these songs. They picked themselves. And when you eliminate the Brian Eno slow stuff, oh my God. I put a hit list together. I listened to all the songs. I just had fun. The songs were just fucking great. Excuse me. They were just great. I couldn't help it. And so if you have fun, that's why you go to a concert. I'm there to give you a good time, just like I did for any other tour that I did for Bowie. I look at the musicians I have, I deal with the songs I have to give, I put all the arrangements that will highlight the musicians in such a special way, and I bring something that has to be done in order for us to actually do it. If it's the Berlin Trilogy, I got to bring you all back up to date. So you listen to all the other interviews and the clips I'm doing on the websites on Bowie Fascination. Here's a history of why we exist. Here's a history of the people that are gonna. Here's me and technology at this center. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a professor now, but I play music every day. I got. You know what's the best part of music? Toys. Boy, we got toys. I mean, if you think that the experience of going into the studio for the trilogy was something, we have got toys now that are just amazing. And so, why not use the toys and the technology? It'll give you a particular sound that is going to mark the period. And I think that's all fun and good.
Yeah.
Good, clean fun.
Well, I can't imagine anybody going to these shows and not having fun because you've been making fun for people for 60 years.
I smile, and all I want to do is see the
Yeah.
smile on people's faces, and that's
Yeah.
that's where music comes in. It is the greatest musical. Music is the greatest form of expression to the inner soul that was ever created by God. It is this amazing aspect that a good song can make you cry, can filter through all your filters, get right to your heart, and the minute before you could even stop it, a teardrop just came out, and you didn't even
Yeah.
realize it. It is that nature that allows us to pick what we think is a favorite song and yet carry it with us till we're 60.
Yeah.
Who what does that? I feel when I feel sad, I'll just hum my favorite song. I feel a little better now. It's the nature of music. That's why we love it so much. It's supposed to be embraced, and that's what we do. We try to embrace it every day in order to become whole. Sometimes we get fragmented, and music will bring us all together. When we all sing together and we sing the same song, we don't hate each other. We're just waiting for the chorus.
Well, I was gonna close, but let me just say this. You brings us music brings us all together. Bowie in particular has been seen by generations on every continent. There are people that were born in the 19th century that saw Bowie, and there's people that are going to die in the 22nd century that either actually saw Bowie or going to experience this concert that you're doing. And talk about a unifying force, right? Something that we all have in common.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one thing I found when I went to the World Fan Convention
yeah,
that Sound City did in Liverpool. Man, they came from 1,000 people from everywhere. It was like they
yeah,
took their vacation specifically to honor David Bowie's memory and to come together. It is an amazing thing to think that as a 60-year-old, I can actually put a lightning bolt on my face, go to Liverpool, and it's not out of the question. I just
yeah,
justified my 20-year-old year by being a 60-year-old and going to a place where everybody has a lightning bolt on their face. It validates your existence, not your life.
Yeah.
existence, and shows you that you are part of a tribe that still exists apart from the normality of everything else. It is like a hmm, it's like the freedom that Halloween allows you to abandon who you are, put on a mask, stand on a tabletop, and scream to all bloody hell anything you want, uh, and it's of no consequence. This ability to morph, that's what Bowie tried to exude. And so put on that mask, become that other person, and live your life.
Yeah. Carlos, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. And
Breathe, breathe.
you can tell.
I have a tendency, being a minister's son, being a Buddhist, being philosophical, being a professor, all of these aspects become important because everything's revolves around the human nature. And so all these things are part of what we call the humanity, arts, and social sciences. And so that aspect of music has really brought all of these things as I've gotten older into one rolled up ball. And all it's meant to do is to be given to others so that they might enjoy it. It's really you have to be totally selfless and just give. That's the way that I have to live my life. You give. It's not an issue of expounding on anything, it's just an issue of giving. And so when you give, I don't even know why I'm saying the things I'm saying to you and whether you perceive them the way that you want to or need to perceive them. It's like kismet. You just say something and you hope that it's accepted the way that you're giving it. It usually works out always for the best for me. And so I
Yeah.
found just say what you're going to say and don't worry about whether they understand it, whether it's philosophical, whether it's actual, and don't try to filter the meaning. It doesn't work.
Yeah. But you're not just giving in the sense of turning something over, but you're creating a connection, right? So you're not just whatever it is, the feeling, the meaning, uh, the change of mood.
Mm.
There's a connection. There's an interconnectivity.
We hope so, but not really.
No?
Well, I'll explain it to you in another way.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Yes.
Conversation is the way that we have been taught to be able to communicate our ideas. And in so doing, we meet two people that might want to communicate with each other. Inadvertently and without even trying to, you will find that you do have a little difference, and that is being explained in your conversation. So you'll say, so and so, the world is round. And I'll say, oh no, the world is flat. And so we have a conversation, and you give me enough so that I might actually consider, you know what? You're right. The world is round. I will turn around tomorrow, and when I go talk to somebody else, you know what I'm going to be saying? The world is flat. My conversation will go back to flat, even when I had a conversation with you that I knew better.
Yeah.
But my narrative has been the world is flat for so long that even knowing better, I haven't altered my projection. So as you can see, you can give. But whether it alters their perception and changes the way that they fulfill their life function, we don't know that. Because you see, that conversation that we had that altered you right now might
Yes.
not be what you project later on. You might go back to the same old thing that you've been saying and never alter it to accommodate this conversation that should have changed its trajectory.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, but this conversation in particular is something I'm going to be thinking about for a long time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. No, this has been, I mean, Carlos, this has been amazing. And
Well, don't forget,
what's
don't,
that?
don't forget you're talking to a 74-year-old.
Well,
You see, a lot of people,
yeah.
you don't get wisdom by being 45. You look at me and you say, wait a minute, you forget I am an elder.
Well, I'm 56, so 74 doesn't seem like it's that far off for me.
Yeah,
But
really, really. And you're talking about retiring. Ah!
yeah, yeah, that stuck with you, right? That you latched onto that.
Yeah, because when you
Yeah.
have passion, there is no retirement. You'll find something else. Maybe it'll be golf. Who the hell knows? At least you won't be paid for it. You'll be paid in a different way.
I'm not paid for this. I decided to, you know what I want to do? I want to talk to people about David Bowie. And now I'm talking to you. And that's amazing. And other people are going to hear this. But I'll tell you, I've had a lot of these conversations, and with many of them, I've gotten information. And I've gotten information from you, but you've given me quite a bit to think about that transcend just talking about David Bowie. I mean, just right, but I really appreciate that, and I feel like I hope our paths cross again, because I've been enjoying talking. I don't want to stop, but it's like there's also this is a show, right? So it's like people.
We only have an hour, man. You're gonna have to
Yeah,
edit a little
I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't want to. It's like, well, I don't know. I might chop it into two, but
I
you
give a
know,
lot of interviews, and regrettable or whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage, I'm not really sure. You kind of speak you speak your language and you speak your consciousness as best you can, and hope that it influences the people that hear it.
yeah,
Whether it's directed, that's really on you. Basically, people see podcasts and watch interviews and read based on the way that it's presented in the beginning. If you present something, then it's accepted in that way. But I think you're right. Sometimes when you meet people for the first time and you have no idea of who they are, it really becomes not a rude awakening, but an actual awakening into the fact that, wow, I, I, I finally heard Robert Fripp speak. I finally heard Eno.
yeah,
And you get this perception, wow, they're very mysterious, they're very spiritual, you get a nuance of who people are. And I think that, like we said in the beginning, you take away this big picture thing, you know what I mean? And that's what you identify with the people. So a lot of people will look at me and say, well, he's a Buddhist and he sure sounds like a Buddhist, and that's all I really know. And everything that he says is kind of like he's a minister's son and he's a Buddhist and he's a rock and roller. So I don't know what, this is like this kind of like smorgasbord of personality types in there. And I think that after a while, that's what we should be. We
yeah.
should be as many characters as we need to be to fulfill our destiny. And I'm not talking about fate. Fate will take care of itself. And the human revolution and the development of your soul, of your spirit, of your psyche, and of your education, the continuing of that is what's most important. We must not stop developing. It is just a waste of life to come to the end of it and realize that you don't know what the next step is because you don't remember what the last step was. We have to continue the odyssey. And gosh, you must stay curious. You will age. The minute your curiosity stops,
Right.
you are dead in the water.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Don't look like you're going to retire now.
Oh, when we're not recording, I could tell. I've been asking you all the questions, but I could tell you about that later. So,
Right, I gotta get back to it. We have a methodology that we're using for the Berlin Trilogy where it is a long distance relationship. Understanding I got two guys in California, I got the Kevin in London, and I got three over here. And so I got the tracks. I took track separators and separated all the tracks. Send them to George. Hey George, here's the bass part. Play it like you played it and eliminate that bass part and play it the way you're gonna play it now. Me, I put some brand new guitar parts like I do, and the next thing you know, they eliminate the old tracks, and what we have is us playing to the tracks. We have brand new versions, and although we're long distance, now we have every track, and now we can fill it in the way that we do it, and we're listening to how we reinterpret our own parts.
so have you come together as a band yet physically?
No, we don't get together
Yeah,
until a week before.
that's amazing.
And we
I
have
don't I don't play music, so this is alien to me.
we have to look at it in a totally different way because
Yeah.
we don't have that. And so, because again, the big budget is David Bowie invites us to Jamaica and he puts us in Jamaica, and you can't call anybody. So, all you're going to think about is the music and rehearse every day for a month. This is not that kind of situation. I don't have that kind of budget. And so, I thought the best thing to do is use technology. We have the ability to, go online. So, we'll practice online with each other. We'll give each other the pause. We'll record it, re record it until we kind of get what we want, And then suddenly we were able to hear what everybody else is putting in and how they interpret the music. And then, oh, I like the way you hit that little spot. Oh, I like that hit that you did. Then I'll take my track, erase what I did, redo it with that hit. Now both of us are hitting at the same time. Hey, we need to get an ending to the song. How about this idea? I play it and then they go, oh, great. Then they put their part down and we got an ending. And so it's like a recording session. And so
Well, it
now,
sounds like that.
yes, now that we have the recording session of ourselves,
Yeah.
I'll listen to that all day long with my part, and I'll be able to remember my part much better now because I'm playing it.
So do you have a studio album's worth of material?
Yeah, the whole tour is a studio album easily.
But I mean, you're just telling me that you're
I
recording
understand.
different. Yeah.
I understand, but that's intent.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
get caught in intent. It is a by having the album is a byproduct. It is a good byproduct, but it was not intentional.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, as such, it's going to be fabulous. And look, I could easily record it at the end of the tour when everybody has finished doing. Look, the best shows are going to be which one do you think is going to be the best show?
Like the first one or the last one or the middle one?
You tell me.
I'm gonna guess the last one.
You always save the best for last because you've developed everything, you've gotten it all
Yeah.
done. Hey, if I'm recording stuff, why wouldn't I record them again at the end?
Yeah.
They have everything, and I re-invite them to do exact. Now that you know what we played on stage for a month, here are the tracks that you have waiting for you when you return home. You know the
Yeah.
part that you played on tour, you finally got it right? Re-record your part, and now that I have everything the way we played it for a month, now I'll record you. And my intention is to release an album now.
Yeah.
That's the way you would think, the way you're thinking. And you see how
Yeah.
easy it would be for me to record an album at the end?
Right.
If
Yeah.
that was my intention, I just gave you the way that I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But I wouldn't do
Yeah.
it the way you just said. Hey, you just got to record it.
Well, that's why I don't know how to make an album. So that's why I'm asking you.
Called critical thinking.
Yeah.
Think from the back forward.
Yeah. Sure. Wow.
You learn a lot in 74 years. Duh.
I'll tell you the most important thing you said was don't go to sleep angry with your spouse.
Unnecessary because tomorrow you will have done two things. Built it up into something that it shouldn't be and it never was because
Yeah.
he's trying to stress the point that you left.
Yeah.
The only way that you can deliver it is in anger. And so you don't have the next day to reestablish, re-explain, or readdress. You have already done it in your mind, and if you should open your mouth and readdress it, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You overthought it, you've tried to justify your angle, all that stuff happens. And you can't wake up here. Hey, well, screw you too. Screw you too. You want some coffee? Sure. It's really that simple. But let's not be silly. There are too many fish in the sea. And should you force a marriage when it should not be forced, and should you have to change in order to get married, that's not what you want to do. You must be accepted for who you are, knowing that you will develop into who you're going to become. But if you start out as two people who are happy together, then it doesn't matter. There's never an issue of trust, which is the usual thing that breaks people up in the beginning. There's this issue of understanding I am at my best when I'm with you, but I cannot be under your shadow.
Right.
I have to be able to pursue something, and you have to encourage me. And this is very important. I've got to be able to do things alone without you.
Yeah.
You cannot expect to be like this because what happens is you lose all your associates, you lose all your friends, you become a clique that's so hard to get into, nobody bothers anymore. Also, you stunt the growth of the other individual. I don't need for you to be honoring me and kowtowing to me and becoming my wife and cooking my food. I cook better than you do. I don't step over things. I pick them up. We have the nature that we develop and we try to get better and better and better. But I can't get better for myself when I'm getting better for you.
Yeah.
I can't become the Carlos that you want me to be at the loss of the Carlos that I'm supposed to become. She goes on the road. I stay home. I go on the road. She stays home.
Yeah.
She doesn't doubt. She doesn't have any trust issues. I'm doing the job. I come home. I tell her everything that we have fun. Anybody that wants to go to bed with me, any woman that wants to go to bed with me, has a choice. You can try to go to bed with me or you can become my friend. They don't understand. They don't have a choice. They're all my friends. They love me. They wish they could have gone to bed with me, but they ended up being my friend. And the next thing you know, they're best friends with Robin.
Yeah.
And now we know them for 10 years. Why? Because, of course, there's always a physical attraction. But when you meet somebody and they're happy and you don't want to disturb that, you become friends. And there's no intimidation or I can't talk to you. You're a girl. Well, Jesus. If anybody meets me on the road, they're going to realize Carlos is the most approachable person you could ever meet. You can talk to him. Hi. Always got a smile. It's always the same. I always walk around the crowd. Nobody bothers me. They don't even know who I am. This is wonderful. Okay, we got to get out of here. Otherwise, we're going to just.
Yeah. I'm going to say thank you, Carlos. Thank you. This has been wonderful.
No, I look forward to them.
Yeah.
There'll be other ones. We're connected now, and so in grace we'll be fine.
That's great.